Hi everybody, it's Doug and Krista here from the Ancaster Show. We are here with Eric and Jesse from DH Media. We're going to introduce you to them so they can tell you a little bit about what they do at the Ancaster Show, which is on
August the 25th, 2019 at the Ancaster Fairgrounds.
From what time?
From 11 till 3 o'clock.
Yeah, make sure you pre-register online so that you get your $2 off your registration and that mom is free at the door. Make sure you register for the cupcake dive too because there's a couple surprises for the prizes. Anyways, here's Eric and Jesse. Here we go.
I'm Eric. And I'm Jesse. And we will be at the Ancaster Wedding Show on August 25th, like Doug said. DH Media is a company that deals in wedding photography, videography, and we also do the graphic design for your wedding invitation needs. We sell ourselves on the professional, affordable services, and of course our personality. Doug and Krista.
I answered to pretty much everything.
Are joining us tonight on a very special episode of A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Podcast. We'll see you August 25th. Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you August 25th from 11 till 3.
Now, where can everybody find you before the show?
Tune into us on our Facebook page,
Yes.
as well as on Spotify or...
Oh, for this? Yes.
For this.
You can find us on Facebook, Spotify, the Google Play Store, the Apple Podcast Store. We're also on iHeartRadio Podcast. And...
What is your handle?
What, for the podcast? Just a funny thing happened on the way to the podcast.
Oops.
Why is there a horse?
Well, that's what Doug is. Doug's a horse, he's a rooster, and a bunch of other things like an alpaca. So we have all those ringtones to go along with them.
Okay. And then for everything else, you can find us at www.dhmediateam.ca for the wedding photo, video, and everything else.
And you have a Facebook page and all that good stuff, just like this.
do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, make sure you watch for the podcast. We are just about to get started. We're really excited about this. And Doug and I will see you on the 25th. Bye.
Funny thing happened on the way to the podcast.
That was fun.
That was fun. Do you use a lot of, like, that was live?
That was live.
Yeah.
It's like, let's see, in just a couple seconds, it should show right on our page. We actually had a couple people tune in. Here we go, 2 minutes ago. There you guys are.
That's awesome. We used to...
We look like we're on crack because we don't know where to look.
It's the lighting's fault, that's all it is.
But
it's well lit.
That's right.
So you find you get a lot of outreach doing the live stuff? Because we used to play around with it a little bit. We haven't done them, and much of it in a while.
Actually, it just happened as a fluke. We're doing a wedding. Doug is a wedding photographer as well, Doug Walters Photography, located here in St. Catharines.
We will tag you.
And as part of our service, we're full service, so we make sure that we are servicing our clients as best we can. And see, there you guys are. And it just happened that one of the groomsmen had gotten his suit out of town, didn't bother to try it on, and needed to go to a Moore's and switch out some stuff. And Doug was taking some photos of the wedding party, so I took the groomsmen to Moore's. Turns out Moore's is actually going to be at the Ancaster Show, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm just standing around here. I'm gonna go live, and since then it's just sort of snowballed. We're trying to reach as many vendors that are at the show as we can because we're in St. Catharines, obviously. So while we're in Hamilton, Ancaster, not all the time, it's really hard to meet up with vendors depending on what's going on in their day. But we're trying to get it out there. We're trying to make sure that everybody understands that this show, even though we are vendors, it's not about us. It's about all of us collectively in the business, trying to make a living and be out there and do the best service for all these brides that are trying to plan their special day.
We want to make sure that this wedding show is the one of the wedding shows that people are going to, because
like it used to be.
Yeah, and we want to bring that to where it was. Where it was, I remember when I first started going on that show.
It was huge. It was
Big.
crazy.
It was very unusual. It was very classy, and it was
at night.
It was at night.
That was
mysterious.
Even the clientele that went in there were very unique too. I felt that every time I was there. And I thought, well, and so we had the opportunity last year to buy it, and we want to bring it back because it was not at the potential that it was. Like the last show that we did wasn't that great. So we
literally took the show over a month before the show date this year, which was March the 29th. So about a month before we had been trying to work with the previous owner. By the way, she's a really nice lady. Like,
Yeah, she
don't
is.
get us wrong. And you know what? She had passion and everything like that. Unfortunately, there's some circumstances in her life that changed, which opened up the door for us to be able to come in and take over. Unfortunately, for us, not asking the right questions. Being a vendor is one thing. Being on the other side of the table is something completely different.
It's a completely different avenue. Like, it's a completely different mosaic.
Yeah.
Like, because I used to be like, I've been in the business for 31 years, and I've been doing wedding shows since it started. And I'll tell you, like, I was the guy that was saying that this can I swear?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go right ahead.
This show is
It's your favorite
shit.
thing to do.
What the hell are you guys doing? What are you guys advertising? I didn't hear it. I didn't see any goddamn signs anywhere. Hey.
I started doing that after we got screwed over by
We
that.
definitely
Yeah.
felt pretty
Yeah.
let down by.
So, and you know what? At the end of the day, like, you get a crappy show and all those leads, you spend all this money for it because, you know, you got the manpower, you got to buy the booth, blah, blah, blah. You get pissed off.
Yeah.
It's like, I depend
Yeah.
on my wedding shows because that's what it is. Like, some people don't do a lot of advertising in the internet because they don't know how to do it. There's a lot of people that are whizzes out there that are good at that kind of thing.
And still aren't successful though. That's
But-
the thing. I think it's not just the marketing. I think it's more of the personality, the people, what they're putting out there, and all that. It's a combination of a whole bunch of
bridal
things.
show is a place where you're meeting your clients. And yes, in the age of computers and Facebook and social media and all that stuff, you know, it's very easy to just make a decision based on that. But some people are not, they want to meet the vendors because that one day is very important to them. So I want to meet this person. Oh, look, the portfolio looks excellent. You know, reviews are awesome, but I want
Is
to
their
know if
personality going to meld with
is
us?
it going to meld with us, kind of thing. And that's what the bridal shows are all about.
I always feel uncomfortable when brides, and it happens every so often, they will email saying, we want to hire you, they have a date, and then they send the e-transfer before, and even like,
Yeah.
hey,
Let's meet.
let's meet.
Yeah.
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 Because we've had situations where we've met brides and things have gone really well and we're glad, and other times we met them and it didn't gel. Years ago we used to take every wedding that came our way, and now we're a little bit pickier because there are some brides out there that you just don't see don't see the same creative
Yeah. And it's just,
drive for
No, and that's
opinion.
absolutely
and I
right.
think the wedding and it's something to look forward to, you know, a couple times a year as a wedding show. Like, as a photographer, yeah, we're busy right now. I got weddings every weekend, just like everybody else. But then when it starts winding down in the fall, it's like, oh, more business, new business. In September, October, and then all the bridal show, the wedding ring show, all those other shows start going on. And then the fall shows, wow, the fall shows, the new fashions, the new styles that photographers are doing more of. Wow, it's exciting. You know, it's an exciting time of year, and it goes from January till about March. And you're just, yeah, and then the business comes in, and then you're booking all these weddings and all. It's just a part of the business. And wedding shows are a part of the business.
The other great thing about wedding shows is that when you're at these wedding shows, these other vendors, whether they're photographers, officiants, whatever, you wind up making friends. So another great thing about the wedding shows is that you're able to collectively get together, say, hey, shoot the shit, tell your war stories from the previous season, that kind of stuff. So it's not, you get some vendors out there that are a little animosity with going on, whatever, but for the most part, we get along with just about everybody. So we like to chit chat and hear what everybody else's war stories are and exchange them. It's great.
We want to make this wedding show special because we have a lot of experience with wedding shows. We have a lot of wants, and we want to see a lot of things at wedding shows. And this is actually a wedding show that's going to prove it. The first time around when we were getting involved in March, that didn't happen. Now, from everything that we've ever learned as a vendor, we're putting it towards that wedding show. You know, the whole idea of having all the vendors sign a sheet that the
brides to sign
are
the
gonna-
sheet in
That's
order
important.
to get a main prize, a grand prize. So
I think that works.
It's like a passport.
It guarantees that
Yep.
everyone's going to see each vendor.
It
Because
helps, yeah.
even if they have a photographer or blah blah blah,
You never know what door that might open for something else.
they might even cancel their photographer because they like you so much.
Yeah.
That's great, you know. So it's just, and we know we have the fashion show. We've got professional models getting involved. You know, none of this.
Oh yeah, so Expressions by Donna is coming back. So we were lucky enough to find and stumble upon some tidbits of information of what the show used to be like and who was involved. And so Lily from Bridal Boutique, who will also be at the show, along with Angie's Bridal, had mentioned about the models, because unfortunately the models last time were just a little too young. But anyways, and Donna just jumped at the opportunity of being back at the show, and she's like bending over backwards. Let's see what we can do. Let's collaborate. Let's get this going. Let's get this show back to its previous luxuriousness and its glory, and we are extremely excited. Like, we literally are excited.
It's amazing how much support we're getting for the show.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Like, honestly, I didn't expect it after what happened in March. I didn't know, but then it just started coming in, and it's like, you know, oh, you're new owners, and it's like we had all these ideas, and also with the social media that we were doing with the videos, that really came along.
We've had a lot of vendors coming to us. Like Peachy Rooster, they approached us. We've been noticing you on social media. We've noticed that you're doing this. We really would like the opportunity and the idea of that new signature drink you're doing. We'd love to serve it for you. So it's been really great. K-Light FM approached us. They saw
that was big.
That was huge for us, because that just cemented in our stomachs that we knew that we made the right decision to invest in this.
And they really were interested. They even had a representative from, I don't know where it was. They came from another town to come in for the meeting.
Brent Percival is the
and it was
gentleman that we're working with.
They were very, very supportive, and it's like, you know, we see a lot of potential in this. We want to see this work, and they supported us with that.
And one great thing about that is I get to work with an old coworker, Darren Laidman, who's now on 102.9 K-Loud FM, and he and I used to work together at Energy Radio, so it's really great. He's come on board. He's been a huge supporter. He'll be there to help MC and co-host the show with us, along with Donna for the fashion show. And I love working with Darren. Darren, a really great supporter of the show, so we're really excited to have him there too. And now that he's a part of K-Light FM, that just makes it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw that it was under new management, that's why I reached out, because
You were one of the first.
I was
You were
excited.
You were.
I liked it, and it's always nice to go back to basics, right? Like we started really with the Ancaster Wedding Show and whatnot, and we were disappointed the last time. And under new management, and meeting with you ahead of time, I don't think we'll be disappointed.
Oh, well, we're happy to hear that. We're happy to
It's
hear
a lot
that.
of work. It really is. Like, it's not me being the complainer at one point with all these other wedding shows. And now I see what they're going through.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, there's just a lot of things to it that we never knew, and you know, we're embracing it, but we're very excited. Like, we're very excited.
One thing we introduced, one of the very first things that we introduced was we brought our videographer, Kevin Fazekas, in, because we said we want to, as a vendor, when you're at a show, you have that wonderful one-moment opportunity to speak to that bride and groom, and then it's gone. You get your ballots filled in, you get your lists, and then it's from there. It's like, that's it. That's it. So we always wanted to know what the show does for us afterwards, because everybody spends money for their booth because they want to be there, they want the exposure. We brought in a videographer to do a spot with every vendor at that show. So even now, after the show, you visit any of our social media sites, you'll see that those videos are popping up, so brides from the previous show can go in and double check in with some of the vendors that they spoke with, maybe forgot about, and the ones that are coming into the new show can see who was there. They're introduced to them, and just like we're doing tonight, we're doing your podcast. We did the live cast on our Ancaster page to introduce even some new vendors to these people, so they know when they come, they're in store for some really quality people, and they can check you out even beforehand. And sometimes they'll just go straight to you.
We've had very interesting things work in the past where we still do. We have some very kind of entertaining, lighthearted, frequently asked questions videos. And it's nice because sometimes when we meet with brides at, say, Tim Hortons or whatever, it's the first time you're meeting, and sometimes they don't know what we look like. And I'll never forget meeting one couple. They beelined it towards us at the Tim Hortons, and it was weird because they knew exactly who they were. I was like, what? And we drove from Toronto. We watched your frequently asked question videos the entire way. We knew you and we saw you.
Which ones? All of them.
Every single one of them.
And how many are there? I have to ask.
Well, the old ones, probably like 15 to 20. Now we just this summer shot new ones that we're working on fixing, which isn't it. Before it was just me, so they knew me, which is
Now
weird.
you got
Now
Eric.
Oh yeah, it's everybody. It's everybody in our team included, so it's less just me, which is
Right.
nice because less of me in front of the camera is probably better, says the person who does a weekly video podcast. So yeah, it's nice because those are great to share. It's great to show the people behind the camera, and literally, as I said,
Absolutely.
we really try to sell our personality. So
Well, you guys
a
have
bit of
great
humor.
personalities. Now, I'm going to switch the questions now. So you guys don't just do photo and video, though. You do a lot of other things.
Yes, so we do graphic design a lot, printing, business cards, brochures, stuff like that, T-shirts.
Some of it works in sort of as a necessity, because say if you're doing food photography for a restaurant, wouldn't you also like to dip in there and have the menu printed for them
So
and
most of the
design the layout of the thing? And
Absolutely.
You can really fulfill your creative vision right to the end of the process.
Yeah, because then that way they don't have to worry about fiddling with the size of the images, whether or not it's going to fit, because you are actually doing it start to finish.
Or taking it to a print shop that you may or may not get what you're looking for out of it.
That's right.
Yeah, I
It's
hear
completely
that.
custom.
So we do the photos, we'll do the design, and we'll oversee the printing. And under one company, you're getting a better bang for your buck.
That
anyway.
too. And then you've only got a couple people to work with, so you're not dealing with 4 or 5 different people trying to get one product accomplished.
Exactly. And then with that, we do commercial photo and video work when it comes our way. So the nice examples, we've done some actually very big work with a bed and breakfast in Niagara on the Lake called Louisa's Sweet Retreat. We handle their social media, the website we did. We retook all their sweet photos and whatnot, and we're waiting for the fall colors to come in, and we'll be doing a promo video for them. And then there's a board game cafe in St. Catharines called Mugs and Meeples. We did their menu.
Where is
we
that?
did their commercials.
It's on St. Paul Street past
St. Paul Crescent.
Crescent on the
Oh, yeah.
on the west end of the bridge, basically.
Right.
So we've done a lot for them too. So it's fun. It's
And from there, you'll get tons of referrals.
yeah. He kind of sings our praises whenever he can. Whenever he
And every time somebody's looking for a good board game cafe, I say go to Mugs and Meeples.
Mugs and Meeples. So
Well, if I can get this guy to play a board game with me, I would be absolutely ecstatic.
There's so many. There's so many there. You can find one for just about anybody.
yeah.
See?
I'm not a big board game person myself.
Me either.
We could play Risk.
Yeah,
Who
It's
doesn't
there.
like a great
I
game
like-
of Risk,
I do
right?
like Risk.
Risk is
I
a
haven't played
great
it since
game.
I was like in high school with a bunch of friends.
It's a good one.
So it's nice. We get to do a lot of everything, and then as the mix with the film union stuff and the fact that we've traveled for other purposes too, short film and everything. So we all never run out of things to talk about,
That's
basically.
right. It's never a boring day. There's always something fun and exciting.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Find myself attracted always to jobs that have a wide variety of things, like even building houses. Things are different every day. But no, I'd go insane if I was like a typecast photographer or something that just did the same thing over and over again.
I did that for a long time. I did baby photos.
That's true.
The first, my first step to self-employment, after college, I managed an A&W, and I took a break after I graduated because I had back surgery, and then I just kind of continued working without thinking about my future, and they fired me. I'd say why? Because my opinion is very unappreciated. I will say that I was fired because I was white, but I won't go into details there.
That would happen to have been in Burlington, would it?
No, it was in St. Catharines.
Oh.
And the day that I got fired, there was a job posting for a baby photographer job. And I did that for 3 years with a company called Canadian Baby Photographers.
Oh, they've been around
Oh,
for
yes,
like
they
100 years.
They
Since
had.
1965.
Yeah.
And they had an interesting reception or interesting kind of public appearance. The photos were good. I enjoyed taking the photos, and the babies. I mean, it was.
They
it
took
was-
my baby's photos.
Yeah, pardon?
How many years have you been doing photography?
Me?
Yeah.
Since 2013. So
And Eric, so are you specifically just video, or do you do photography
No, I'm
too?
mostly photo primarily.
I'm mostly video,
Yeah.
but I balance back and forth. Yeah.
Wow.
I pretty much did it as a very hardcore hobbyist for like 2 years before I even really did professional work, just because you could not see me without a camera around my neck.
That's true.
So then, how did you two meet? Like, how did you two decide? Hey, let's get this done. Let's go down this adventure.
I think my side of the story might start. Well, no, you can explain why you needed a photographer, I
It's like, it
suppose.
sounds like it's a really good marriage between the two of you.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah. Some people really do call it a bromance too.
Hey,
My girlfriend gets jealous.
hey, nothing wrong with that.
There's a third party in this story that I think you just saw hiding in the background. Her name's Tila.
Hi,
she was-
Tila. Oh, she's being very quiet.
she's keeping quiet.
She doesn't want us to pull her into this.
No, not at all.
She and I were doing lots of wedding photo and video, and she said we should bring on a third person. And I said, okay, we will post. This is the Reader's Digest version. It's
Sure.
probably back and forth, me saying, nah, not really, don't want to.
It sounds like Doug and I.
Yeah, so on and so forth. So we finally did. We post for interviews, and at the time I told Eric we were interviewing a lot of people. Really, he was the only one that applied.
It happens.
And he got the job. And where we are now is when he got the job, I'm like, okay, Tila, one of, if not like my best friend of all time, I can never fire her. That's a problem being the boss. My other videographer, kind of second, or for like it balances between, again, being one of my best friends of all time. Can't really fire him. So I said to Tila, hey, this guy I'm not being friends with, because if he starts to
Didn't work.
be shitty, I have to fire him. And one day we had dinner together, and then we went to take photos of the Rib Fest back in 2016. And like, first things first, my initial reaction was, shit, he's a really good photographer, I have to step up my game. And we actually, I like to kind of hang out with him because I learned a lot, and then we also became friends. And I mean, we've been doing this for 70 plus weeks in a row, so we talk to each other all the time now.
I can see where the bromance comes from.
My side of
yeah.
the story was just I was at the end of my university career, and I was looking to make a little bit of money, and I had booked a wedding by myself, and I'm like, I haven't really done a wedding before this. I'm going to go get experience on somebody else's time. And it worked out. Turns out I'm pretty good at weddings.
Well, that's
yeah,
good.
it's kind of like my experience. The first wedding I did was in 1989, and it was
3 years before I was born.
yeah. Well, and I remember doing this.
1989.
Yeah, it was 19.
So 5 years before I had my daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, my father, when he was a pilot, he did his one of his colleagues' weddings, and I thought, wow, you can make money doing this.
His dad was a pilot with Ward Air.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he traveled the world. And his dad
Nice.
used to always have a camera with him, which
Yeah.
is probably where Doug picked up.
So if you go into my studio, you'll see all my old cameras that have on them.
I'd love to.
What kind of old cameras?
Come by.
Oh, God,
Pentax
here we go.
S1 and then the Pentax ME Super. He was a
Not bad.
Pentax guy.
Really? I got a Pentax 6.7, but not much else.
It's a good one. And
a
I
good
used to work with Bronicas. I used to work with the Hasselblads. All film. Anyway, the first wedding I
Careful,
did.
you're turning Eric on.
Oh, yeah.
Doug has that way with animals. Sorry, Eric. You are an animal.
My story. So,
Okay.
yeah, okay, Miss Horse ringtone.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Rooster.
was weird.
Yes,
That's
Rooster.
going to be on that video too now.
I know, right?
I wonder what the hell
Hey,
that was all
Rooster?
about.
Hey, Rooster? Yeah.
Yeah, I did the wedding.
Anyways, sorry, Eric.
I
No.
never wanted to do it again because it was such a pain in the ass. And then next thing I know, I got one a week later, and then I got another one, and then I got another one. Then I went to college, and then I did them over the weekends, and you know what I mean? And I
Because
just,
Doug also is a sign language interpreter as
I used
well.
to do that.
And he's also fluent in Dutch, so when we go to weddings, you'll see him. Sometimes his hands are going, and I'm like, oh, okay, he must have met a deaf person. And then there's the Dutch. Oh, okay, he's finally met somebody he can talk to because I don't speak Dutch.
Neither do I.
So
2,600 weddings later, and I'm still doing it.
No, that's good.
Weddings.
I lucked out. While I was still employed at A&W, but I was on my off time because of the back surgery. I was hired by a gentleman named Merv, and he had a company called UBU Productions, and he and I were graduates from Niagara College. Granted, I think it was like 30 years apart, but he hired me to shoot a wedding, and that was wedding video. And at the time, I didn't realize how
lucrative,
how cool it was. And my first wedding, I got to work with Brian Caparici as well, which at the time, again, I didn't know who he was till much later. Then I'm like, wait, holy crap!
You got to work with him.
Yeah, and he and I talked for a little bit and whatnot, and I can never seem to schedule him for this podcast because
Busy guy.
he doesn't do evenings, but that the bug had bit. I did a little bit for Merv, and then here we are today.
And obviously, it was a great career choice.
It had its ups and downs, and there's been some very interesting
And you'll
situations
always have
along the
that.
way.
Otherwise, you'll become boring, and you'll
I'm not
not
boring.
really want to continue doing this, and that might be a shame.
There are many, many things, but boring, I don't think,
I know.
is one of them.
We get asked all the time. You guys must have seen everything. No, we've seen a lot.
Oh,
We can tell you stories.
Oh, us too.
But if we had seen everything, then it would be boring.
I mean, we have very much fewer weddings under our belt, but yes, almost every wedding there's some kind of new chaos that gets introduced to the mix, and it's fun. It's entirely unpredictable. You'd think you would see everything by some point. Even weddings themselves probably changed quite considerably over the past few decades. I don't have that long term of experience.
The emergence in digital has really made an impact on our business, and that's because back in the day when I was shooting with film, you had a light meter, you had your film, you had your camera that you knew very, very well, because if your
It's an extension of
Hasselblad
yourself.
locks up, you get the screwdriver and you poke it in, and it goes back open again. And that was just something. Everything just sounded right. When you get this digital camera in your hand, it's not the same. And I almost got out of it just because I didn't feel it was real photography to me at one point, because here's a digital camera, and I didn't feel that the quality was the same when I first started. I didn't.
Not compared to medium format, absolutely not.
Then I started getting into the Nikon D800s, and I thought, you know what, that camera is that's the one.
Still shooting on that one today.
I love it.
It's a good camera.
Great tool. And but the thing is, and I teach all because I have 10 people that work for me. I always say to them, do your pictures in the camera. Don't do it on Lightroom.
The editing.
The editing, Lightroom is just a little bit of touch here and there, but the camera itself, you're doing everything in it, and try to make those raws as perfect as you can, because it's just a lot less time sitting in front of the computer. You hear a lot of these stories about photographers taking 2 years. Well, it's
A little bit of an over
but you hear that.
Although I have heard of photographers taking an obscene amount
We
of time
have,
before
too.
they disappear, which is
have,
also
too.
scary.
For our company, photo turnaround is 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes
That's us
less.
too.
Because again, we do this full time. So Doug's available to do the photography, do the editing and stuff like that, and then I do the other half of everything else. And together as a couple, we make it all work.
Yeah. But I've always, and I try to stick to the old school ways of photography. I even carry a light meter with me, just because sometimes I just kind of need to know.
But you'll always see Doug doing this.
You can't meter the position of the subject and have a flash properly metered for that one, really. There's certain
right.
applications where you still need one.
Yep.
Yeah, and every manual, I still see photographers using P. Why are you letting Nikon or Canon make decisions for you?
Because they're booking the weddings and getting the money. That's the
just
sad
it.
thing.
I'm a guy that when I'm shooting, I'll change everything. I'll change the ISO. I'll change this. I have that in me to do that, and I think if you can do that, then you have more control of what you're doing. The computer does not do it justice. You can do some really nice things with Photoshop and Lightroom, but it's not 100% the same. If you're going to do vignetting, shoot through some stuff. Make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Yeah,
Smear some Vaseline on your lens.
That's right. And you know what? Those were, we really faked it till we made it with some of those. We even made our own little vignettes out of plastic. But man, it looks really, really cool, So,
Yeah.
but Yeah, no, and so it's. I always think treat digital photography the same as classic photography. You know, that's where we all came from.
For somebody who didn't really grow up shooting film like in the same way that a photographer shoots film, I like that I took about a year break from digital and I just shot on film cameras. And the one thing that I got out of it more than anything is just making shots count. I probably shoot a third, if not a quarter of what I used to for weddings, and I get better photos out of it.
You're banging off 220s. You got 24 each roll. Each roll is $9.99. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's expensive.
And usually with candid photography, you just bang in your little, you get your 35mm camera and you do candids in black and white with the Ilford XP1, and you just put that through C41 chemistry, and you got black and white.
Wow.
Is the XP1 your favorite film? For black and white specifically?
No, I like the Ilford FP. What was it?
Oh, yeah.
It belonged to Ilford 400. Was my favorite. I just love the Ilford.
I love the HP5. That's
The
too.
The Kodak I found it was very grainy, but sometimes
I hate
This
Kodak
is all foreign
T-Max.
to me, but this is kind of cool to hear.
T-Max is one of my most
shot.
despised
Totally
rolls
foreign
of
to
film.
me, but
Yeah,
as I've always said with Eric, whether it's just general science or knowledge or cameras, talking to him is like looking at the answers at the back of the book.
Yeah.
yeah.
He always
But that's
says I
good
give
because
him
you
too
can
much
see the
credit.
passion in all of you for what you do.
Well, you know, and it's
Like I'm not a photographer, but I can appreciate
so different back in those days. I remember shooting on medium format, and it's like you're shooting, and you got all these group shots, and at the end of it, it's like, wait a second, did I do that on f4 or did I do it on f8? Shit, because if I do it on f4, half people are going to be blurring and I'll be fucked. Shit, I have to wait till a week after I get everything proofed. And then I remember I used to be the first one at the photo store. We used to go to a place called Strahd's, which was just on Bloor Street. That's where I used to live. Mm-hmm. And I remember just going in there and I said, I just got to see these proofs, and I'm just putting them on, and like, oh, thank God, this is great. Yeah, no, I did do it, and the flash did go off. Yes, that's it. That's the only thing that I even cared about was that. You know, it's so like everything has to go right.
Even now, he goes nuts when he thinks he's missed something. It'll be the middle of the night, babe. I gotta go back to the studio. I'll be right back. It's just bugging me. He won't be able to sleep. He literally has to go to the studio, 20 minutes from home to the studio, computer on, check the 3 photos that he needed to check because he couldn't sleep.
I love it.
Off and home. Done.
I've had it
and
where-
then he sleeps soundly. Well,
We'll do a OneDrive, and that'll be the last thing and then they'll download it off the thing, and then we'll get an email that night. Oh, pictures were awesome, but where's the cutting of the cake? And I'm like, did I do cutting of the cake?
and I'm like, yes, you did, babe.
Are you
How
sure
do you
about
know?
that?
Yes,
okay,
I know
I'm gonna
you
get in
did.
the car and I'm gonna go check it out.
How do you know
Run
I did
over
it?
to the studio, and there it is. And then you give me a call. Well, I just want to let you know they did download it. It just took forever because the images are 20 megabytes a hit. So
Yeah.
it's like it takes forever to get it.
And I'm
out
like,
that
if you had
OneDrive.
just waited 5 minutes, babe, you know.
Yeah, and that's, digital's a lot of work. And another thing that I'm kind of thinking about as well is I shoot everything on RAW. What do I do with those RAWs? You know how many of those?
It's a lot of storage.
How many of those little things I buy at
Hard
Staples? I've got. If you go into my editing room, I got drawers full of it.
Well, we just
Network
upgraded. We
attached
have
storage.
a NAS drive, like storage, so we're talking 16 terabytes just
The
for.
only problem
You can
with
go a
that
lot
is
more.
if it happens to go.
Well, we
There's
have redundancy, right?
yes.
We have it built in because back in 2016.
But the question is, how long do you keep those RAWs?
That's good.
Because
We keep
I'll
them
have
forever.
some lady and it's like, I really like this shot you did in black and white. Is there any way that we can get it in color? And I don't want to say to her, well, I just have the JPEGs and there's nothing I can do about it, because if I go back to my RAWs, then I can just make it into a color shot.
So I would imagine that perhaps you're like us then, and if it's a black and white image that they get, it's purely our own creative input. It's not really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because some photographers will deliver like both, or they'll deliver no black and white, or whatever they're going to do.
We have a few customers, very, very few, that ask for no black and white. However, we did have one customer ask us for absolutely
Everything
every
in
single
sepia.
photo in sepia.
So, I have
Everything
a
is in
preset on
sepia.
Lightroom so I can do everything on sepia. And I'm thinking to myself, why the hell is she doing this? Every shot, we shot close to what,
They invited
1,000
us
images.
to their home because everybody at DW Photo, Doug Walters Photography, is family.
Yeah.
All of our clients are family because they come back to us for
Offered
absolutely
us beer,
everything.
so we're over there.
So we're over there,
what the hell?
dinner, people invite us to their family
Yeah.
functions and stuff like that. her whole house was in sepia.
Yeah, and everything was
So it made
brown.
sense.
Everything
But it
was,
wasn't distasteful.
No,
That's
it was-
the thing.
it was quite
like
nice.
it was really well put together, but we understood why everything had to be in sepia.
Yeah, so.
That makes sense.
Because otherwise the color photo would really have been out of place.
Yeah.
And
so.
you know what? She texts me every birthday, every Mother's Day, every Christmas, every New Year's. Hey, beautiful! Happy whatever. Just thinking about you. So
we have our list of clients that invite us to almost every single function that they have at New Year's or just get-togethers, and they are nice to have. Problem is, New Year's they all do it on the same night, so you can only pick
you have to
one.
pick and choose. Yeah. Yep.
Our general rule of thumb is we do pick and choose, and we make sure that people know, because we will always keep the JPEGs, and for the most part the RAWs are kind of kept, but we do say that they have a year.
Yeah.
We have a calendar.
We have
keep
that
the
on our
RAWs for the
contract
year.
too, but
We'll never delete the JPEGs, never, ever, ever. But the RAWs, especially from 5 years ago,
oh, Doug's got stuff from even when
I'm
he
just
did
too afraid to get
film.
rid of it. That's the problem. Because
It is nerve-wracking to hit
We just got
delete.
4 customers in the last, what, 3
3
months?
weeks. 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Oh yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, and all of their hard drives,
Gone.
for whatever reason, gone. All their wedding photos,
that-
everything.
That's why
and we had
They assume
somebody.
that it's all gone on our side too, which is absolutely not. I have all the stuff I've been shooting since the
We
80s.
even had a bride call us last year. Unfortunately, her mother had passed away. And for whatever reason, she remembered that there was one photo in her wedding photos. How she doesn't have them now, we don't know. But she messaged us and said, "You don't happen to have this photo, do you?" We were able to send it to her that night. She was just
within a
eternally
second.
grateful.
Oh, yeah.
The other way to look at it too is that it seems storage space is exponentially cheaper as time goes on. So if you don't outshoot what you have right now, you might be able to keep up with it forever. It just seems to be getting that cheap, especially with just regular hard drives. I know
hard drives.
solid state drives are still
Cheap,
kind of
cheap,
expensive.
cheap. I
and
remember when
so-
they first came out, they were like thousands of dollars for like no space.
Yeah.
Same thing with the SD cards. I mean, I remember SD cards were like $70 for like what, 2 megabytes?
Yeah, I remember
It
1
was
megabyte for my
crazy.
D100. That was the first
Yeah, but those
digital
were those
camera.
big
ever
square
had.
things that you have, those professional.
Oh,
it's not
I
the
love
small.
those things. They never go. You know, and that's another thing that's another thing that it's keeping me from going mirrorless. Is I like the fact that my D800s you can put 2 cards, because
Of course.
I've had it where
For backup.
one of those cards would corrupt, and lucky I was to get everything out of it. But what happens if you can't get anything?
That's the scary
Which
thing.
cards do you shoot with?
I use what am I using again? I
I
forget.
don't know, they're the black professional
The
ones.
black ones.
SanDisk, Lexar,
Sand.
No.
Yeah, that too. I have all
we
of
use
them.
all of those, but
I
the
use all
black
of
one,
them.
the big black ones that we usually use.
But ever since with the D800, I double card everything, so it doesn't really matter. If one goes, I have another one, and you
That
can't
is
do
my
that.
favorite new thing about not the new camera, but I was Mark II for years, and now that I have the Mark III, the double card.
Yep.
It's just-
Some of our
it's-
photographers use those cameras.
I remember at a time I used to always worry, like, oh, I have to download these images right now, because I want to make sure
We
that
still do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we did it at weddings a lot of time. I'd bring the external hard drive, and during dinner,
and then you have it.
yeah.
Because I don't want to the one thing that really, and I will say, it fucks me up. Creative
Already swore,
is
so
where
you're good.
is actually
He's very tamed.
worrying about this stuff. I don't want to worry about it. I want to do a good job for my customers. I don't want to worry about if that thing corrupted my files or or whatever. It's the worst thing in the world. Same with film. Did I actually put the film through, or have I been shooting all on #1 for the whole wedding? With film, you always know that camera is working the way it is. But with digital, you don't know. There's a lot of different advantages and disadvantages of both systems. Obviously, film's a lot more money, but digital's a lot more work. So it does. I think it is a lot of work.
It really depends on what you did as far as film goes, because I mean, like, there's some people that do have their own darkroom where they will print their own images, and you can spend hours and hours just dodging and burning one photograph.
Yeah.
It really depends on how far you're going to push it. The film side of things, most people are happy enough with the prints, although a lot of times all these digital scanners or whatever that you get these days for your film slides or whatever, they'll just destroy whatever color you had on there. Like it just picks a white balance and it looks terrible.
Yep.
I don't know.
So
Can't shoot film, I suppose, like you used to be able to.
no, you can't. The traditional C41 with color, and then the traditional 3 chemistry with the black and white.
I don't even know what to do with my C41 film anymore.
Well,
You can still
he
take
can
it.
show you.
And Costco still deliver.
Is
Really?
Costco doing it? No, Duncan and Wright does it in
Duncan and Wright in Burlington.
Burlington
still
Camera.
does. Burlington Camera
I'm
still
gonna
does
go
it.
there. There was a Shoppers Drug Mart near where he lives that had a machine, and I
They
must have been their
probably just
biggest
got rid of it.
customer because I was there all the time. I got probably like almost 100 rolls of film done by them, and then they just decided one day, yeah, we're gonna sell the machine, and I couldn't afford it because I was a poor student. But I'm sure somebody picked it up for like $3,000, and they're probably making money right now.
That's right.
No,
They're the
those
only ones
Fuji
doing it.
machines when they first came out back in the 80s and 90s, they were about $30,000 for both of them, and now that you can't even give them away. Like, nobody uses them anymore, you know. So
The automatic film processors, I would pay at this point in my life $1,000, no questions asked for one of those.
well, there's a place in Toronto called Auto Trader. If they're still around, they'll probably have 1,000 of them in their warehouse.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Just the color film's too hard for me to try to just hand spool, and the chemicals only work like once, and it's a pain.
And that's
in the butt.
another thing I don't like is the chemistry. It stinks. Like it's just.
Yeah.
It really does, and I hate it when I'm in the dark room and you're dodging and blah blah blah, and all of a sudden it's like you feel like you're half in the bag because they stink, these goddamn chemicals. They smell like
It's better than a joint.
Yeah, I don't do that, but you know what I mean. It's just
No, he doesn't.
no. So yeah, no, it's cool that we can. talk
Whatever,
about
we're
it.
all friends. It's legal. And if you
It's
did,
legal.
It's fine.
It's legal, but in our generation, it was a little different.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for us to come around to this new way of.
Has there been a situation at a wedding where people are smoking pot and they don't want the camera pointed at them, and you got to go just sit
No,
in the
they all
corner?
want to show
Remember
it
the
off.
one where they snorting coke?
Oh, we recently had
Oh
one.
yeah, that one was really bad.
That was really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, you want
He's
a
doing a few
quick
lines.
story?
Let's.
Yeah, you got any more water though?
Yeah.
I can get
Here,
the water.
you
You
can
tell the
finish
story.
mine.
Yeah.
I got the water.
It's parched.
So, I mean, the less cool story is we did a wedding this year where the groomsmen and groom were very, very clearly disappearing very frequently to go snort coke. The police also showed up at the wedding.
Ooh, you gotta love those stories.
Yeah, I won't say where, but it was. They had a balcony at the venue, and the police were up there just watching for like 20 minutes. And I've never seen police at a wedding. Stag and Doe, sure. Wedding, yeah, I don't
we
know
have
why.
a few times.
But we did a destination wedding, Dominican, and the entire wedding party and all the guests basically were all friends from a bar, so they were a bar crowd.
Okay.
And in the video, we have the
Thank
video.
you.
It's 100% legit, true, and whatnot, but it plays out like a movie. We're shooting everybody arriving at like 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. to board the plane, and there's one guy in a suit, just for foreshadowing, and everybody else is ready to go to Dominican. So we get on a plane and everything. First night, I'll just tell the story beats anyways. Get there, Tila gets motion sickness from the plane. First time she was in a plane, so she's sick that night. Finally, I'm like, hey Tila, you gotta go get food. She's like, just bring me back a plate. I'm like, okay. So I leave for dinner. I have a plate for her. I'm about to go back to the hotel room, walk past the bar. I'm like, whatever, nightcap, book, be fine. Start work in the morning. Go to the bar. I hear, hey, videographer, turn around. The wedding party's all sitting there. And they're like, come do a shot of tequila. Well, you're paying me, so you tell me what to do. So I did. And 6 hours later, I am probably top 10 drunkest I've ever been in my life. I've lost a plate of food. And I'm standing with the guy that was in a suit playing pool. And all of a sudden, he opens up his necklace. And he snorts something out of the necklace. I'm drunk, I'm white, I've never been exposed to anything like that. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, what do you think? I'm like, where'd you get that? He's like, I brought it from home. How'd you bring it from home? How do you think? Oh. Like, aren't you ever scared? He's like, no, that's why I wore the suit on the plane, because nobody bothers a guy with a suit.
Oh.
And the drugs
like this wedding party went hardcore. Like the other guy had found coke within the first 3 hours of being there, and the amount of drinking and the amount of debauchery one guy got with one of the other women, and she was so drunk she thought that he was someone else.
Oh,
And
jeez.
the guy that it was afraid that she was going to tell his. It was crazy.
Wow.
I'm writing it. It's going to be
It's almost like a
movie.
key party back in the 70s, eh?
It's going to be a movie. Yeah, I'm working on the story.
Wow.
It's such a farce.
We
Yeah,
can't
it's
wait
be a
to see it.
When you're shooting weddings, you get to see it all. And one thing that really disturbs me is a lot of these, especially with the younger bride and grooms with all of their wedding party, they're all smoking. And it's like,
Yeah, it's still
Yeah,
a common thing.
but we smoked.
Yeah,
we all
but-
smoked in the day. Mind you, the cigarettes back in
It
those
just-
days smelled differently than they do now.
Hey, I'm born and raised in Tilsonburg. Our cigarettes always smelled right.
There you go.
yeah.
It is an interesting observation. I mean, I work on a construction site, and I can tell you, everybody gave up smoking pretty much. All the framers, all the electricians,
Yep.
nobody smokes for the most part anymore. But at pretty much every wedding, there's like just a gang of smokers that are all in the bridal party or the groomsmen or whatever, and it just seems to be a pretty common thing with young people still.
You
Yeah.
vaped for a bit, though, right?
Just because it was stupid.
Is anybody vaping at that?
It was ironic vaping.
It's something that you explored. Nothing wrong with
I
that.
don't know. Yeah, kind of.
Check
Didn't,
it out,
didn't have
see what it's
nicotine in
like.
it or anything.
No, but all those oils going into your lungs,
Oh yeah, it's terrible for you. I'm sure.
it's horrible.
Yeah.
Just you got one body in life, and you meet people that have lung problems, emphysema,
Oh,
cancer.
my mom had her lung removed for cancer.
Yeah, you're just messing with your body. I can't do that.
Well, you did say that you ran 24 kilometers before this podcast. Is that normal for
This
you,
morning
or do you
at
do
like
more? Do you-
6:30, he went out.
Nice.
I'm a marathon runner. I do 4 marathons a year. I just got back into it this year after a 7-year hiatus. And it's just something I've always wanted to be qualified for Boston. Always. And it's very hard. So I went and got involved with the running room. And
It's
they
been
had
the best thing for you.
so basically we're doing hills one day, and then we'll do 6, and then we'll do 10, and then we'll do tempo runs, and then we do a big one every day, every week.
And then when he's done, he's hurting.
Yeah.
So Krista massages. Krista makes sure he's well taken care of
Yep.
and pampered to make sure that he recovers, because the next day he does it all over again.
Yeah, it's something I like doing. I used to cycle when I was your age.
I actually like running more than cycling myself.
Running's great. It really is. It's the best thing. When I was going through my divorce, it got me through it. It really did. It's like a medication.
I did the same thing.
I mean, the literal runner's high for me, it might be different from some people, but it is probably one of the most amazing feelings I can think of in my life. And it's been too long. Like I haven't been serious about running probably since I was in university, maybe 3 years ago. So
I used
should get
running
back
as
into
a way to cope with the separation of my marriage after 17 years of it falling apart. And from somebody who never did long distance running, it was always track. And I know you're going to laugh because yes, I did hurdles with me being so short. And
Did I get it?
so I used to start power walking, and then it just graduated into running. At one point I wanted to join the reserves, and being told that you have to run for 20 minutes 5 kilometers without stopping, that was a goal for me. But putting my music on at night, 10:30 at night, going out, doing my 5K, whether it was bike riding or running, it mostly was running, being able to unplug helped me shut down before the end of the day. So for me, it's cathartic. Unfortunately, since I've moved here from Burlington 5 years ago, I have not been able to run because I'm not familiar or feel comfortable enough to be out on my own that late at night to do that.
I got
So-
the idea of running from getting into the police. That was one thing I did for 7 years, was doing my ATS and applying to different forces. I was really close with Toronto Police, and the big thing that they want you to do is run, and all of their exercises are running based. They have a shuttle run at 6.5, and it is probably one of the most challenging things. And being a seasoned runner like myself, it's still a challenge to do it. And a lot of the other police forces have other running exercises that they do, and I was just really inspired by it. I thought, I'll make this into a lifestyle. So, yeah.
I am not a runner. I think that is very clear. I'm trying to live a
It is not
healthier
very
lifestyle.
clear because there are people that look like you who do run, and they do run marathons. So
Wow.
don't ever
I was trying to make a joke.
cut yourself short.
Thank
But you
you.
did.
Thank you.
But I'm supporting you.
I appreciate it. I am trying to live a healthier lifestyle, and passively, I was going to tell you about this too. It's not much of a success, but
Let me guess, the keto diet.
no. No.
And it's keto, baby.
Or
It's
whatever.
keto.
Did you say keto?
He
Yeah.
did keto. You know who keto is?
What the hell's that?
He's the
Oh.
Green Lantern sidekick. Is that not his name, Kato?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
See, I'm the nerd in the relationship.
Gotta have one. I moved in, or my girlfriend moved in with me 6 weeks ago, and since then I have switched basically to 100% home cooked. I used to eat out a lot because I was always so busy,
That's Doug's thing now too, because I do all the cooking.
right?
Yeah.
And in the 6 weeks, just passively, I haven't changed my exercise, but I've dropped about 7 pounds just from not eating out
All
as
the
much.
all processed
And a lot of
food.
water.
Yep.
A lot more water now.
Waters. Yeah, that's
And
the key.
I'm working on it. Now I'm going to add the gym back into the mix after everything slows down. But
Take your time.
You just got to find something you like doing. See, because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, and then they're going to do running, which they don't like to do. You know, if cycling is something that you like to do, then you should do that. Because cycling is a lot less hard. It's less harder on your body than running. Running is hard. Like,
Not necessarily.
yeah, right.
Not necessarily. It all depends. You got to make sure you got your height right for your pedals, your seat, your everything, because
It's
you got to make sure you
expensive
got the
sport.
full range
Yeah.
of motion on there. Otherwise,
so
you
is
can
running.
cause some major damage on your knees and
How-
your lower back.
I want to hear how running was an expensive sport.
Well, I'm just finding this out now because I'm finally, after all these years, I'm doing it right because I've joined a clinic and I got a lot of like-minded people that are doing it. The frequency of how many times we got to buy those $200 or $300 running shoes.
Well, I'm just
Plus-
running the crap. I just running the crappiest shoes I got, and
Not when you're
probably
my
screw
age.
up your feet.
yeah, I guess.
Your
Because
feet, your joints.
yeah,
Sometimes when if I run like 10, 15K in really bad shoes, yeah, my nerves will be freaking out in my foot when I get back.
can't do
Yeah.
that. The socks, the clothes, it costs lots. Like and you're gonna want to use it. Like the Garmin watch that I got, that was expensive, but it actually tells me, how many. Like I need to know what I'm at and how I can improve on it. It's the running room does very well with it, but it's actually a good community to be in. It's
They
better than
are.
the Hells Angels. You know what I mean? It's legal.
That's
Yeah, I'm definitely better than Hell's Angels.
But it's you know what? I think that running is a very friendly sport because they have people that are of different levels. They got people that do walks and they can't run, but it's just for people to go out
And
then-
everybody supports everybody, and that's the great thing.
yeah, and they actually mean it. It's not like, oh well,
She's
fucked
only a
up,
walker, whatever.
Who gives a shit,
Nope. Everybody there, everybody supports, everybody becomes a friend, and they help cheer each other on. It's great.
Yeah, and you know what? And being a wedding photographer, it takes a lot out of you. Especially when you're in a church and you're going up and down with
Oh,
your
yeah.
knees, and you want to get the full length shot, and then you want to zoom in with it, and then you have to go up higher, so you're going down. You know what I mean? It's hard on your legs.
best. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Oh,
Hey Siri.
Ik heb geen overeenkomstige locaties gevonden.
yes, it's in Dutch. So, Doug, I love you, baby, but still. Just over a year ago, like Doug is Dutch. He was raised in a Dutch home. His parents spoke Dutch.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he was the third child and the only one at home because the other two were in Holland.
Okay.
And so, as he's aged, he has gone away from the Dutch culture, and he decided last year that, I'm going to embrace it again.
I relearned the language.
So he literally
Went-
relearned the language from
I
start
went-
to finish.
did
which
all
is-
You're
that.
slowly growing to be like one of the most interesting men in the world, apparently.
Yes. I'm very
Relearn
proud.
Dutch language.
Well, he learned it. Like he knew Dutch. He spoke
Yeah,
Dutch
he
growing
learned
up.
it.
But when
I just-
and the adage
And I'm
is so
spending
true.
more time
If
in
you don't
Holland
use
too,
it, you
so
lose
I go
it.
there pretty much every year now, and it's like stepping in another home when I'm there. It's hard to live there because it's so expensive, but it's for a week and a half. I love it, and I have a friend of mine that I usually go with, and he's German, and he likes to come to Holland with me. It's really
So
cool.
is your Dutch Siri a way to help you with your Dutch? 'Cause
The
you speak-
whole phone
The
is
whole-
in Dutch. So I
if
may
you-
not know Dutch, but because we are together all the time, and
pick it up.
depending on what we're doing on which phone, I had to learn how to navigate on this phone in Dutch. Now, don't ask me to speak it. I can say paardaas, because, that's what you are.
Horse's ass.
Horse ass. But for the most part, I do not speak it. I do not have the that you need to have when you're speaking Dutch. But I know enough to be able to look at it, know what it means, and know what I can do with it. So
If you want to really be fluent in a language, you have to immerse yourself in the language.
Well,
I learned that in sign language because
he
basically,
watches Dutch TV shows at night for fun.
yeah, they have amazing.
That's fair though. That's
And it's just
I'm very impressed. I'm very
it's-
proud.
So because honestly, like
so
all,
you two obviously have different TV tastes then.
yeah,
Not really. We do have a lot of the same things. Like we like the NCISs, the Vikings, the, all kinds of stuff. Doug likes his, How to Make an American Quilt. I like the
Yeah.
Expendables,
how to make you liked it. What the hell are you talking
Yeah,
about?
but I've never watched it before. It used to
yes,
be
I
one
did. I
of
showed it. You've seen it.
until I met you,
Netflix.
I've never watched it. That's what I'm saying. You introduced me to it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how passionate you were about it when he's like, oh, you gotta watch this
Quilting?
part.
It's a
It's so
good
good.
movie.
It's so good. It's a good. You gotta watch this. Oh, and this is what's happening next. Like
I didn't say that.
you did, but that's okay. It's all good.
Okay. Expendables was good. I saw that last night.
That
for
was the first time. Yep,
That was
I
good.
introduced him to that. We both love Star Trek.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, we actually have a photographer whom we call Chekhov.
Because he looks
He
a lot
looks
like
looks
Chekhov.
like him, speaks like him, built like him. He's Chekhov.
I have a client who looks like Data without the makeup. Like
Brent Spiner.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
The new Picard's gonna be good.
Oh, that's coming out too. Have you tried to watch the new Discovery? It's actually pretty good. Took us a little
They
while to get
filmed
into it.
it was Discovery.
Toronto.
They filmed a small part of that at Balls Falls too.
Yeah.
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 That's right.
Yeah, Burlington, Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those places. Yep.
Very well done. You had to really get into it
It
first.
took a little bit at first.
Yeah, and
You have
now
to sort of get yourself into which time frame it's in.
My favorite Star Trek is still Voyager. I really
Mine
like
is the Next Generation. I
for me
can't-
too.
Yeah.
My
Voyager.
girlfriend who introduced me to Star Trek, she showed me the. She was really into Star Trek. I said, I don't want to watch the original because
Shatner and
I've seen
oh.
episodes.
First two episodes.
I've seen episodes of the original and like it's too much for me. But the Next Generation, I hear just so many good things
It
about
did. It was
Show
so
me
hyped up.
The Next Generation, and she showed me the pilot. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
this doesn't look good because the pilot's production value was so low. You could see the map box and the camera in some of the shots. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is not
You
good.
actually can see that?
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's
I remember
it
when it
looks
played.
so shitty. And then she's like, hold on. And we watched episode 2 right after. I'm like, okay. So they're like, we want to do a new Star Trek show. And the studio gives them the least amount of money
Because
possible.
they did not think it was
exactly.
going to be successful.
Oh,
And then
it was a Love Boat.
After, well, yeah.
You remember the Love Boat?
Yeah.
No, they're
The
too young.
first, no.
I
the
love
first-
the Love Boat.
First
Well, we
2
watch it on
years,
CBS on demand.
You could totally tell it was low budget.
love
even,
it,
even
yeah.
everything was dark, and then after the 3rd year it was successful. They
But
started
then it
lighting up
started
the
to
faces.
change.
Yep.
And it sucked.
Yeah.
The other show like that too, Doctor Who, the revival.
oh.
The first episode looks like
I can't remember what
garbage.
the actor's name was, but the actor who had the curly hair,
Chris-
the older guy,
oh.
it was always on TV. Oh, that is the best Doctor Who. That's the
See,
best Doctor Who.
Yeah,
And it was low budget.
well, there's a lot of low budget goodness out there.
I used to watch
I
that.
don't remember how bad the Doctor Who.
The first
was.
episode with
It was the
with
mannequins
new-
or something.
No, well, it was the mannequins, but there was also this. I remember this guy getting swallowed by a garbage can in that
Yep.
episode,
Yeah.
and it was so poorly done. I'm like,
Yep.
I could do that with After Effects, and then it got better. Never super amazing as far as effects go, but it got better. But Star Trek was such an interesting show because the pilot was so cheaply done, and then it became this.
This was the one. This was the Doctor that I grew up on.
Okay,
The fourth.
Let's see that?
Who is that?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think here.
that's not. That's before me.
Tom Baker.
Yeah, I haven't watched any of the
Yeah.
the older.
These were
ones.
the best Doctor Who's around.
But no, I guess that happens, and having a map box show up in your frame. You can complain about it all you want. And as I said, we're about to shoot a short film, and I really hope to God we don't do something stupid like that. Like have a...
So you guys watch for stuff like that, right? Like when you guys are
It
watching...
comes ingrained in who you are once you...
Have you seen in big production movies flubs?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Like when if it's like an 1840 scene and then you see a digital watch in there or something.
Or
Have you ever watched a 007 movie?
Yeah.
Like one of the ones with Daniel Craig.
I've seen
I love all of them.
Actually,
and
or maybe
just,
that car should not be in there. Because
Just
or
the
in
booze
all the
bottle.
1940s
You see
movies,
them.
how everybody has a brand new looking car because
Yes.
they had to borrow the cars from these car enthusiasts. I'm sorry, in the 1940s, people had junkers.
Yeah,
that
they
looked like
crap
shit,
bottles.
but you never see that in the
Yeah.
movies because they've all been made to look as beautiful as they can.
That's right. Because it's about living a different life.
A friend of mine and I have been watching through all the James Bond. So we started at the beginning and we finally hit Daniel Craig. And there have been some lows and some highs. And it's interesting now looking back, like when Connery slaps and like it does get really rapey.
It is dated.
And it does get really questionable.
It does.
But Dying of the Day was hard to get through. But we finally got to Casino Royale, and as we were watching it, we both have a remote, and we paused to make notes on certain things. And midway through, we're like,
There's a lot of mistakes in that movie.
there's a lot of mistakes,
A lot
but
of
from a technical standpoint, we're like, oh, they actually did this, they actually did that. The only thing that really stood out as absolutely horrible is there's one shot of his initial Bond girl getting out of the water onto a boat, and the villain is playing poker on his yacht.
Right.
And she opens the back door of the yacht, and it's the first time I'm watching it in 4K too, so that might be a thing. But watching it and like, that is green screen. That is the most clear green screen situation, and that's the only major production issue that I can really tell. There's story issues, hardcore, but I always like ruining people's opinion on extras. If you watch old school TV shows and watch the extras, you can see them mouthing. You know this. What are they mouthing? Tila knows it. Melissa knows it.
It's slipping in my mind, but I think we've talked about it before.
Yeah. They don't do it so much anymore, but years ago, you watch them, they'd be saying peas and carrots. Because you're really moving your lips when you say peas and carrots.
That's
and
right.
the extras in the background would just be repeating peas and carrots. Peas and
Good
carrots.
viewers, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
right?
funny.
Because it makes it look like they're engaging in a conversation without having to make it up.
Exactly. Shazam.
Oh, you watched that show? Oh no, the movie. You're talking about the movie.
Yeah, the movie.
I'm old. I used to watch the TV show Shazam. I got
really
so excited there for a second. I told you, I'm the nerd in this relationship. Doug's not the jock, but he could be
He could be.
because he hates sports.
Yeah, I don't like
But
sports.
running is good.
But
It's
running is good.
Yeah.
But I'm the DC Marvel comic
Okay.
Star Trek closet nerd. I remember the day that my daughter was about 15. She was sitting at the table doing something, and I was in the kitchen busied around, and The Next Generation came on, and just automatically you go into space, the final frontier. And my daughter stopped, and I happened to turn around, and she's looking at me with this look on her face. And I said, what? She's like, I'm like, what? Mom, you're a nerd? And I'm like, hello, I was an air cadet. What do you think?
I was a Boy Scout.
So, and it was funny because she was in air cadets at the time too.
The reason why I mentioned Shazam is Shazam, it was publicized, but there's a scene in the movie where he's flying through a mall, and on the day of filming, they were paying so much attention to the effects of him flying through the mall, they missed the fact that there's very clearly crew members in the background.
Oh, jeez.
And they didn't realize it till editing, and they're like, okay, it looks amazing because he's flying through the mall, but there's very clearly crew members in the back. What do we do? So they fixed it. They edited bags into the crew members' hands, so now they just look like innocent shoppers. So stuff like that, it's very cool to
be
think,
able to
oh,
see.
we gotta fix this. Was it Spectre? or was it Skyfall? I think it was Skyfall. Daniel Craig. They go to the casino with the Komodo dragons, and in the original script or in the original shoot, he goes to shoot one of the villains and he's wearing gloves, and they had to fix it later on because
he didn't have the gloves.
the gun he was issued would only work with his fingerprint. You can't get your fingerprints through the gloves.
No.
So in the movie, he has really bulky hands for one scene because they have to paint hands over his gloves.
Funny.
So you have to be really creative when stuff like
That's
that
right.
happens. And that's what scares me going into our things. I'm like, what are we going to screw up that we have to justify later?
Yeah, but
I
those
like
are learning
problem solving.
experience. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to start somewhere.
I shot a short film in college. And midway through, we realized, shit. The actors changed shirts midway through, and we can't
Didn't
reshoot
notice.
this all.
Yes,
So,
running the script, making
because-
sure the details are there.
because it was already a really jokey movie already, midway through the movie, they're like, fuck, it's getting hot in here. And they take off their shirts to reveal the other one. I don't want to do that again. I've been very mindful with the wardrobe for this one because that was just a nightmare. And every time I watch it and I see that, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but you think of that, but the people watching it don't think that.
Some people pointed it out. They're like, why does that happen? And I have a lot of film geeky friends who are like, you fucked up the shirts, didn't you?
Well, we've learned a lot about filming because we were extras in
A movie that's coming out.
That's coming out.
What
And-
movie? Or can't you talk?
Can't
We
talk
can.
about it.
We can. No,
it's a gray
social media is out there.
Is it?
It's out there. It's called The Good Family,
Okay.
and it's produced by what's the film company called?
Not sure.
It's one of the cities around. Starts with a C.
Caledon Films.
Caledon Films.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so Doug did the behind the scenes photography.
Okay.
He is a very sexy, bulky bodyguard enforcer in the movie as well. I will not lie, showing off his tattoo, which he's cleverly hidden tonight.
Nice.
And it was interesting and fun to see.
yeah.
And me being the nerd, sitting there going, "Oh, this is," and I'm sitting there because I'm not really the person running the script. I'm there, and the producer looked at me and she said, "How did you catch that?" And I'm like, because I'm paying attention." Which is one of the other problems I have. I pay too close attention to certain things and I get myself into trouble because I'm always questioning it. But
I just learned a lot from that whole thing.
we did. It was amazing to see how things are done when it comes to the special effects, when they were showing the bullet coming through the head, like just how much time it takes.
And then when they shoot someone, they have to use explosives and all that. I never knew that.
Yeah.
And it took about 2 hours to get all that taken care of.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So they have to redo the whole thing again. Like, it's just blows me away.
A lesson in filmmaking. There was a movie shot in Niagara-on-the-Lake last year called A Holiday Calendar. It was a Netflix original.
I think I actually watched that.
I
Okay.
think I saw that too.
Shot entirely in Niagara-on-the-Lake. They shot it in March 2018.
And they used the Christmas store, didn't they? For part of
No, well, I don't know for certain, but they used a lot of Niagara-on-the-Lake. And watching that movie, being a low budget like Hallmark Channel
Yep.
style movie, in a place that so you can really like nitpick certain things, it's interesting. And I try to translate that to our low budget kind of thought process, but they repurposed one of the theaters and just added a digital marquee to make it seem like it was a movie theater. But the one thing that they really dropped the ball on was their establishing shots, because throughout the entire movie there's like 2 different drone shots that get reused so many times.
Yes.
And I like it because it's very clearly Niagara-on-the-Lake. You can see the clock tower. Like, it's a very good love letter to Niagara-on-the-Lake, even though it's not kind of set in Niagara-on-the-Lake. But it's cool to watch because you can see what they used, and you go down. I don't think there's any diehard fans in the movie because, as I said, it was just really
low.
Canadian TV has really come a long way in
Oh.
so many years. And I remember when I was in when I was a kid watching The Beachcombers.
One of my favorite shows growing up.
The acting, there was just I don't want to say anything bad, but it wasn't
It wasn't Hollywood.
It just wasn't there. That's all.
It wasn't Hollywood.
And the problem, and what I'm finding with any Canadian production that portrays America, it just doesn't do it for me. For example, when we have Flashpoint, or if we have Rookie Blue, we all know that it's about Toronto police. And I think it's very well done because it's all about that Canadian police force. And the best people that are ever going to portray Canadians are Canadians.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and now they're, and we've seen a lot of it, that Coroner show.
That show, Coroner,
It's
was
fantastic.
fantastic. We use the CBC Gem app, and
Fantastic.
I've introduced him very, 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 very gently. He started watching Heartland.
Fantastic show.
Yeah.
And let me
I've
tell
heard
you,
great,
he used
great
to chastise me for watching it because it was a Canadian TV show, and without watching
No,
it, he had a
Canadian TV has
preconceived.
come a long way.
And
The
another one that
Coroner, there was
Blackstone. That is my hands down
Yeah, I had
one
to
of my
stop watching. That
favorites.
was a little too graphic for me.
Fantastic.
But it was a great show. It's very well done.
And it's just, and that's where a lot of this, and this is why I think, Canadian TV has gone a long way. I know a lot of actors that I went to boarding school with, and they, you see them on there, and it's just, it's very well done lately, and I see that.
Well, everybody's pouring so much money into the film industry in general in Toronto and whatnot. So, be it Canadian productions or American productions, there's a big Canadian touch to it, regardless. Like you're a big comic person, so you watch Titans, the TV show. Yeah,
We've watched it a couple of times.
Okay, so I was on that set not too long ago.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're filming season 2. It was very secretive. It wasn't even titled properly because they didn't want us to talk about it. So I had to do a little digging.
Side talking.
Yeah, but the director's American, the producer's American, but everything else, it amazed me doing the union work because I always thought if I'm a film director, I'm friends with my boom operator. I know my boom operator. No, it's just a union job. It could be different tomorrow. That's a bit crazy, but yeah, a lot of American productions always have the Canadian touch.
And you can't get away from it.
Christmas Chronicles, another Netflix big Christmas movie starring Kurt Russell that came out last year. A lot of that was filmed in Hamilton.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Hamilton, Toronto, and stuff like that. So one of the biggest.
Well, his son did attend university in Vancouver.
Okay.
Hud, what's his name? Last name was, can't remember, but he was in professional hockey too. So him and Goldie spent a lot of time up in Canada. They used to have a house up in Muskoka. I don't know if they still run it.
A lot of big time Americans, like Spielberg has a Muskoka house too.
Well, they come up here and Canadians treat them just like normal people. They don't, take pictures.
Sometimes it'd be hard.
But for the most part, they come up to Canada. We just, I went to Mont Tremblant, ran into to Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. You know what? You see them walking around. They're just like
friendly,
normal people. Hey, welcome, whatever. Off you go. They used to have a house just not too far from Mont Tremblant. Same thing. And believe it or not, the biggest thing for me was meeting Johnny Mosley, who used to be the moguls guy for the U.S. team back a long time ago. I was like, oh my gosh. Or even the Body Break people. For me, that was a huge thing. That was better. That was bigger for me than Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. They're great and everything like that, but these, you know what I mean?
Canadian icons. I've told this story so many times, but I don't care. And I realize there's probably a generation gap with this anyway. But when I was younger, I got to meet personally and sit down and talk with them. Sharon, Lois, and Bram, The Elephant Show.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I remember
And
that.
I grew up watching and listening to them, and then they were doing a charity concert, an exclusive charity concert at the Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
My brother recently had a kidney transplant, so he was one of the people that were invited. And after the concert, they came down. Bram was wearing hearing aids, and my brother was wearing hearing aids. So Bram was talking about hearing aids with my father, and I'm standing there like, you guys are on TV. And I was 9, 10, maybe a little bit older listening to Sharon, Lois, and Bram, but it didn't matter. I'm like, I grew up with you guys, and they talked to us like people. We got pictures. They were so friendly, and it's amazing to be able to do that. And they could go to the States, and they might have a little bit of notoriety down there, but They're Canadian
they're
icons.
Canadian icons.
I
Same
got to
thing
meet
with
Mr. Dress Up
Mr.
once
Dress
too.
Up. I was just going to say that.
Ernie
Ernie
Red
Coombs.
Green.
He used
Steve
to live
Smith.
in Burlington on Tyndega Park Drive,
He
just up from where I lived.
Years ago, he did a show at Brock, and I couldn't go. I wanted to go, but I was managing the A&W, and apparently, I guess before his shows, he's like, I'm gonna go to A&W, and I turned around,
And there he was.
and there he was. I'm like,
So before Red Green, he was Smith and Smith.
see, I didn't know that.
That's the show we grew up watching, Smith and Smith. And then all of a sudden he's Red Green. We're like, what the hell is this?
Oh,
man?
but
This
that took
was-
off. That was a great.
That was a
idea.
great show. He
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah? So he just lived a few streets away from me,
So
growing up in
funny.
You know which
Burlington.
movie I can't wait to watch? Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is going to be good.
That, yes.
Yeah,
you know
that's-
what?
and
Tom
that Tom
Hanks
Hanks,
is doing, like, I
perfect.
cried
In
when
the
I saw
first
that.
scene with him, as you, because some actors you have to warm up to them in a role, but the first scene in the trailer, you're like,
Oh my
God.
gosh. I know, I started
Mr.
crying.
Rogers.
Well,
He's back.
Robin Williams, same thing. Like the way he acts, it just
Acting.
touches you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
I'm
I still
so
can't
sad.
believe he's dead, but he
5
just
years ago yesterday,
Yeah.
I think.
he just
Social
just
media told me.
Yeah.
just touches every chord when you see his movies. Like I just
But see, all of these things helped shape us as adults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sure did. And you know what? If you can look back fondly on some of these shows, you still carry some of the things that they taught you. You know what I mean? Like, it's great that kids are, you know, they have these things, but you know what? What are they really learning when they're sitting there on YouTube? Sorry, Frankie. Watching how to play a video game.
This is interesting. It's like a generation raised by the TV has nostalgia for being raised by the TV, and now they're criticizing the future generation
Well,
for how
no,
they're
because I
learning.
mean, seriously, when we watched Mr. Dress Up, Mr. Rogers, we
Yeah.
watched Read Along, like Read Along.
I remember Read Along.
You know,
I just remembered Read Along because you said it.
you know what I mean? Like those things taught us values. What's that one? Davy and Goliath.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They taught you values. They taught you how read along. They taught you how to read. They made it fun.
Well, the nice thing about those shows is, as parents nowadays, I've said, like, thankfully I have. You want something goofy? I have all Gilligan's Island, and I raise my kids on Gilligan's Island.
My son loves
and
Dukes of
Arthur,
Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh my gosh,
Maybe
Charlie's
not
Angels.
as politically correct nowadays, but
But my kids all grew up on this. Like
Yeah.
even my kids now in their mid-20s, they grew up watching Charlie's Angels, The Brady Bunch, you know, things like that actually brought families together. You know, few laughs, but at the same time, they taught you values, the right and wrongs. They showed you kids screwed up, but they got punished. They learned from it and how it made them a better person. Today, kids are playing Fortnite. They're playing, you know what I mean? Like, there's those video games. You know what? My kids, I've got 3 kids in their 20s, mid-20s, and I've got 1 who's just 12. So there's a huge age gap there. Yes, Frankie is controlled with what he can play, how long he can play. He still has to read books, you know what I mean? And I quiz him on it and stuff like that. Yes, he has a phone because it's the only way I can reach him when I'm not with him. But, you know, he still does arts and crafts. Like I got in this thing, little passports. It's all science. He's into science. Like he still does things with his hands and stuff like that. Whereas I'll see other kids where it's 24/7 all day long. They're on their tablets. They're on their iPads. They're watching YouTube. They're watching people shit in bags and like seriously. Like, what are they learning from that?
laughing because you said that, not because I find it
Yes.
funny. But
I mean,
might
but it
be a
is
little
funny. But I mean, seriously.
that happen
And
at
then
the
they're
park?
sitting down. Yeah, here in St. Catharines,
Yeah.
right on the street. And then they're playing those video games where it's like you earn points for running over the old lady with your car. You know what I mean? Like, how is that teaching values and how to be a better person into society, where you're what are you able to contribute if you're not learning your basic skills to be able to be a productive person in society?
Yeah.
We've also noticed, even just us, there's a lot of people out there with no work ethic.
Yeah.
Like
that's a big
we
problem.
work 24/7.
Me too.
You know, we don't make a ton of money. We make money, but it's all about, as I told my kids, when you're doing a job, even if you got a job sweeping the floor, you do that job to the best of your ability and then some. You show those people that you're there, you're dedicated, you're there to work, because you know what? There's somebody else behind you who's got less than you, who's hungry and wants that job because it's going to put food on their table.
I've always had a good work ethic, but I can never complain. I can't complain to Eric. Before we started, we just compared steps, and I have a different job than him.
Yeah.
And my dad, I come from a long line of hard workers. My grandfather was a tobacco farmer. My dad, when he was younger, was a tobacco farmer. He ran a funeral home. He does all this and that and whatnot. I wanted to be an artist. So that's.
But you know what? To be an artist, that's hard work.
It's long hours. It's not, honestly, most of the manual labor I've done in my life is by mistake. So, it's long hours instead, and it's working. I mean, here it's 9 o'clock, then I can go home and I got other stuff to do and whatnot. So I may not walk 17,000 steps a day or 24 kilometers a day,
But here's the thing: hard work does not necessarily mean manual labor.
I know.
Because you know what? When you're sitting behind a desk and you're processing all the accounting and your emails and things like that, your brain gets tired, and it's hard work. So it's not necessarily how work is always manual to tire your body out, but you also have that work that tires your mind out. But really, sitting there watching somebody play a video game on YouTube is contributing to what?
Well, it's contributing to that YouTuber's
success
bank account.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's his hard work.
Yes.
That's right. But he's sitting there playing a video game, and that's
Making
great.
lots of money.
Making lots
possibly.
of money. But
What's that, Fosse
where are
and
your
blah, blah, blah
values
again?
coming from?
Who's
Where are
that?
your values coming from?
I have no idea.
There's this YouTube.
FouseyTube?
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like him, but
I took my son to that.
Oh, you took Frankie to
That
see
guy,
that too.
everybody
The
did.
two
Yeah,
of
they
them.
had the drone in the air and all that.
And then there's that marshmallow person.
Yeah.
Frankie's like, I want to go
I'm
on
like,
his
what the
marshmallow.
hell?
I'm like, marshmallow. I'm thinking, okay, let's see what. And then I find out there's this thing that's got like the X's on it. I'm like, what is that?
Oh, the artist, the
yeah,
music.
Marshmallow or something like that. Yeah,
I think that's
I'm like,
the
what
band. I've heard a few of their songs. It's
they
pop
have
music.
stuff that plays on the radio, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Yeah,
No.
it's great to see things have changed, but the core values and stuff like that are not being taught to children today is a huge issue for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric and I have
mean-
bounced around an idea of making an educational children's photography
Yeah.
TV show.
I feel like it's such a sliding scale, and there's so many different kids out there that have different interests. But like, I could talk to, I don't know, my grandfather. Maybe he'd be disappointed that I'm not reading enough Friedrich Nietzsche and like just a bunch of old philosophers. It's true. I don't
Hey,
know.
my kid reads the Hardy Boys.
That's cool.
Hey, that's a good
You know what I
series to
mean?
read.
It's good because you know what? It gets you thinking because it's mystery. You're thinking about all these things going on. You're like, oh, what's this? What's that? You know, like it's great that you can sit in front and watch somebody do something, but what are you really challenging yourself with?
You have to have the desire to seek the challenge. That's probably one of
Yeah.
the most rewarding things. I mean, I do stuff all day, but I don't feel like I work hard really in almost any aspect of my life. It's kind of just
But yet you
fun.
probably work 12, 14 hours a day, putting
Yeah,
up that
sometimes.
drywall, doing, you know, you got to make your cuts, you got to measure twice, cut once, you know what I mean?
And even
But-
before that, university, went to school, got an honors degree in biology. If I didn't have to spend the money, I'd just
I
go
got a
do it for
full
fun.
degree.
Because, I
See?
mean, like, I don't know. But you have to have that drive, and everybody has different drives to do
Yeah.
things. And I mean, unfortunately, yes, if somebody only wants to, I don't know, watch other people live interesting lives, and that's how they get their kicks,
Yeah.
then yeah, they might be sort of taken advantage of by everybody else in society who is going to sell them said product.
Right,
and
but then it's society's fault because they're so gullible.
Yeah.
it's always a tier of people.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know.
Absolutely. But we've gotten away from the bridal show. Like we
Yeah,
talked
well,
about
no,
so
see,
many
this
things.
is what this
we're
is
always
about.
really good at this. We've had people come on that are going to talk about something else. We just like getting to know people. We like
It's
personifying
awesome. Yes.
people.
We were a little nervous coming here today.
Yeah.
I think you were a little bit more than me because I always say, you know what? I'm not going to stress out about it, and what happens happens,
Our
and that's
rule
the
of
way it
thumb
goes.
is no prep. I knew you. I've heard of you. Between you and Brian Caparici, there's very few photography companies in Niagara that people talk about. But Doug Walters, Young Glass, Brian Caparici, Daniel Ritchie, and stuff like that. There's names, and you're always there. So they say you're never supposed to meet your idols, but it was cool to meet you.
Steve,
I'm absolutely flattered.
you've actually floored him. You've actually rendered him almost speechless.
I came here like 7 years ago, and I just opened up shop, and I didn't.
When he came here, it was do or die for him. Like he came here to start
I just
over,
wanted to
and it
start
was
over,
like,
and
you know what? He's like, I'm going to come here and do it, and that was before even we met,
You.
which is weird.
This is because you're, like, as I said, Brian Caprici, like, you're so well revered, it was cool years ago. I'll just tell this story because it's at that point. You were a bragging point for us, not just internally. We were so excited because we had a bride and groom, and this is it's long since gone, who on the same day met with you and met with us. And they had told us that they met with you, and we're like, well, fuck, it's over. And then they went with us, and that, I mean, it's, as I said, it's an odd story to say.
Gosh,
but
we're
yeah.
all the way up, right? That's kind of cool to hear.
No, it's
probably because we're cheaper. That's a good chance.
Oh, no, he's cheap.
Yeah, you are. It's pricing is such an interesting thing and whatnot, but
Well,
I'll be honest with you, I didn't think I was received very well when I first came to this town because I
well,
remember.
if anything with the bridal show, that should be changing your mindset.
No, I
because
know. I don't feel like the photography community was.
it's
very
interesting.
It's very, yeah, that's the word I'm going to use.
Especially when we do photo and video, like we've had some very snide comments. The first wedding show that we did, they were not happy with us.
Yeah, and then it's just, I know, I remember I went to one of these meetings who was it? Knowles? What's his name?
Robert
Knowles was there, and then there was everybody that was of a name.
Somebody in
this
Niagara.
town. And I just remember being there, and they were talking about different stories, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'll go to this and I'll just listen to what their stories are about being wedding photographer, because like I can't talk about that with my mother because she doesn't do wedding photography.
Yeah, that's true.
My friends don't. They're all massage therapists or whatever, or own businesses. I thought, wouldn't it be nice just to go to this? And I remember going to this thing, and I just felt, and I hate to say it like this, who's got the bigger dick?
Yeah,
And I just
Photographers are like that, yeah.
And it was like,
But it wasn't just photographers.
and it was just
I don't
so angry. I felt a very big anger, and then when I walked in there, everyone looked at me, and they knew who I was. And I felt that I couldn't say anything, and I thought, you know what, I gotta go, and I left. I just couldn't, like, it was just very, very
You
intimidating.
didn't feel welcome there.
No, I did not feel welcome there at all, and I was trying to be positive. There was a girl that was just getting into photography, and I told her, and I stood up and I told her, I said, you know, you should be very proud about the fact that you're doing this on your own, and you're getting your own customers, and you should hold on to that. And everyone was really quiet when I said that, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to be positive.
Stop, don't pick it up.
I know.
Just leave it.
I'm trying to be very positive here, and I felt that they all wanted to tell me off.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought, wow, this is really bad. I gotta go.
I've balanced over the years with having that, because we've dealt with some dickhead photographers and some dickhead videographers, and the photographer that ate all the lobster and whatnot, when we were doing, I think he was just angry because they went with us for video and not with him for video as well. Again, that was first year, so I know it's because we were cheaper. But when he was doing the photos after the ceremony, he almost forced my videographer to use his gear because he's like, "Mine's better. You should use it." And she
The
stuck
answer is
with
still
it.
no.
No, of course not. But
We have many brides and grooms who, you know what, we'll do just photography, or we'll just do videography, or we'll just do photo booth. Like,
yeah,
we try to play as best as we can in the sandbox.
it's hard
Sometimes it's hard because some people
stay
are
away
just
from-
real
You know
assholes.
what? If I've done video.
Well, you're intimidating because you got the guns now. So
Well, you know what? When I'm in a wedding.
He was mentioning your muscles, baby.
Oh, thank you. No, but let me just say this. When I've officiated weddings, I've done video at weddings. Video is not my favorite thing to do.
I love it.
I like doing the video, but I don't like doing
wait, I was
editing.
going to mention something before. Remember we were talking about the workouts, the up and down, and whatnot
Yes.
at weddings? The best workout I can ever get at the wedding is at the reception when I put my Steadicam rig on and I'm running around the reception hall.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh.
I burn off my dinner doing that.
There you go, see?
Yeah. And going to what I'm saying, like, I'll see other photographers there. I won't say a word. Like there's probably things that they're doing that I'm not doing, but there's a good reason why they're there, you know, and it's just, that's their contribution to it. And I just stay away from it. I don't criticize nothing.
The only thing that bothers us is when we did a wedding in Oakville, and there was a gentleman there who had similar equipment to what Doug did.
I had this big lens, same as
And
mine.
Oh, yeah.
He followed Doug around like a lost puppy with his
shots.
camera, taking the same shots. And at one point,
At one
he
point,
literally
it was at
went
Walton
up
Memorial. I'll never forget it.
that part where before you go up to the balcony part, before the balcony part, the guy literally came up. Doug's trying to set up, so there's always a shot that he does after the signing of the registry. The officiant, the reverend, the pastor, whatever, the bride and groom, the best man, the best woman.
And then I'll do the shot.
And
Okay,
he'll
everybody
do
go
that.
like this.
And next thing you know, the guy's lens was sitting on
Right on
Doug's
my
shoulder.
So what do I do? I
So-
just go, whoops, sorry.
We asked the wedding party, do you guys
who is
know
this
who this
guy?
person? They're like, no, we thought he was with you.
No.
That's how intrusive he was with Doug trying to get
Jesus.
work done. And we all understand that people want to take the shots. Everybody's got their phones and this and that. And it's like, it's great. We don't deter that. However,
Problem is,
the bride and groom, the wedding party are not looking at the photographer,
Yeah.
which
And
makes
so what
it
I always
harder
say-
to
what
get
I-
the shots for the bride and groom.
what I always say to the photographer that's beside me, and he's got his nice camera and blah, 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 is listen, it's really against the bride and groom if you keep doing this. Because they're all going to look at you because they know you a lot longer. I'm just the hired help here. I'm just doing it for them. So you're impacting them. And usually at that time, they'll just, oh, you know what, no problem.
Yeah.
I can say, fucking get that camera out of there or I'm going to shove it straight up your ass.
Which
but
he's
that's
done.
not politically correct. You can't do that
No.
in this society. I would, you know, and of course I feel like saying that, and it really pisses me off the next day when I'm going through all this stuff and I see that they're looking at this
Yeah.
other guy, and I'm thinking, that was a really good shot, but they're all looking at them and they're going to ask
Or
me.
half are looking at Doug and the other half are
No.
looking at like 15 other different people.
So what I'll just do is I'll say, you know what, guys, I'm going to take my shot first, and I'm very loud about it, and then you're going to look at the paparazzi. So everyone look
Yep.
at me. Okay, everybody looking at me. Okay, now paparazzi.
And that's the best way to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and then they feel important because they're the paparazzi, right? So, and then at the end of the day, everyone's happy, and then they'll all say to you, "You're a really nice guy," and you know, my daughter's getting married, and then it kind of goes like that ecology, and
Yeah.
everybody's happy. So,
There's been the occasional wedding where there have been people who have come up to us and they ask us what we have, and some people make comments, be like, "Oh, well, mine is better," or
Probably
whatnot.
is.
Just because it's bigger doesn't mean it's better though.
Oh, I know.
And just because it's newer doesn't mean it's always better either. It depends on what you're shooting. It depends on what you're trying to achieve.
But
with
I
what
was,
you're
so
saying.
I was like the old guy in the back of the church with the pop-up flash, and it's
Oh, yeah.
18 to 55.
yeah, and the guy's got a little, you know, and he's using this small little flash. Meanwhile, he's got the D850, which is
Great
And he's
a
got
very,
like this-
very well desired camera with
Yeah.
50 megapixels.
and this oversized lens.
And he's using this little flash, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's a very nice light, because you know he's not bouncing it, he's not using the card or anything like that, and you know what you're doing, you know. And I'll just keep it at that. Like when I see that, like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Or there's the
Like,
people that are like in the middle of the ceremony or the family photos and they're trying to take pictures and they're like, my camera's not working. Hey, can you show me what I'm doing wrong?
I've had that too.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm shooting a wedding. Sure, let's just take a quick look. You know, and Doug always stops. He tries to help as best as he can. But
Another thing, it's when I'm at parks. Perfect example was when I was at RBG, the one in Burlington. Every time that place books they book that park, it's always in the middle of the day. And what's the biggest problem in the
There's
middle of
no
the day?
shade.
There's no shade.
The sun can
And I'll see these photographers
RBG, yeah.
with the shooting right in the sun or under the trees, and you see all this lighting on the faces. And I'm thinking, what are they doing? You know, why are they doing that? You know, why take the
You can't
picture?
fix
You
it.
can't fix it.
Look like
How
a
long-
checkerboard.
Yeah. So, but yeah. No.
Lots of rookie mistakes out there, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah.
It's been a long time since we went for like 2 hours. You guys, just like you had said, you didn't know what to expect, and whenever we don't do our research and we just bring people on, you never know.
That's
we've
right.
had some boring people, and we've had people that are not as boring but say some really interesting things.
We try. We try to keep it. We try to keep it
This
going.
was fun, and
Yeah, I enjoyed this.
We'd love to maybe do it again, maybe after the wedding show
Sure.
and whatnot.
Do
Yes.
a recap and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
again,
interesting.
the wedding show
Yes.
is August 25th.
And I do want to say everything that you've said is what I like to hear, because there are lots of wedding people out there. I'm looking at you, Malcolm or Raymond or whatever your name is, your alias, who like to take advantage of vendors, and it's not good because we spend a lot of money to be there. Like we're taking our old set design and we're bringing it into the 2019s,
Yep.
and we thank you, and we hope that it'll be fun. We're looking forward to it on the day. And
So are we.
Well, we
being
know
there.
that we know that we've got our work cut out for us, but we are not letting that daunting task of making something spectacular out of our vision. But along with that vision that we have, it's like it includes everybody. Like we have a vision, we're going to put it out there so that the vendors have a place to come, and the brides and their families and their tribes and their grooms, and have a place to come that's interesting, different, cool.
And it's ours. You hear about these stories of these rock bands, of how they met all their members. You know, they met the drummer. Well, he met them at a bar and he's half in the bag, but man, he could really hear that snare. You know, he should be in our band. And then they're one of the most famous bands.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the people that we put into this show,
Yeah.
like Alex Kazam. I've known him for a long time. He's always fit in something in any of my projects. It's been great.
Make the cut for the hair. Let me tell you, we met her at the Ancaster show.
Yeah.
And she told me that I was the reason that she's doing so much better in her business, because I told her, get out from behind the table. She
Oh,
said she
neat.
took it to heart, and ever since then, she's like, so she's on board. She's doing the hair. I saw Mary Kay on the side, very briefly, but believe in the product. Mary Kay's going to be there doing the makeup. We have Presence Event Decor and Designs doing everything.
We've got some of our old brides that do different things that are involved in the show too.
That's right.
And it's like we're going to be seeing them there. I think
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Panic Zone Productions. I've known Pete Traina since I was in high school, and being
And he's
able to
gonna be
see
there.
him in this years later, because I haven't seen him in so long, but in the last 4 or 5 years, he's just, since Doug and I got together, has been this huge, oh my gosh, Doug's the guy, Doug's the man. You need to talk to Doug and Krista for, your photography. It's
See, I
all
told you
these
you're the
people. All these people that,
G3 Designs, another example.
there's another one, yeah.
You know, and they're there. They're in St. Catharines.
Heart to heart photography,
But they're-
like
yeah.
all of these other photographers who you might think, and we have a great rapport with, like even before, we go to the Niagara show, we see these people, we're joking around, we're having fun, and
Yeah.
that's what we want for the vendors. We want them to have fun at our show. I don't want them to dread coming there just because it's
like, oh,
another
yeah,
wedding
Ancaster
show.
show,
Oh,
right
it's the
on.
Ancaster show. Oh my gosh, we got
What are
the
they gonna do
cupcake
now?
dive.
That's what
they got Alex Kazam. Oh my gosh. Oh, and we're revealing our new logo.
Yeah.
A lot of the show is out with the old and in with the new, even with staying with the luxury of the show. And then the February show is going to be even better
And the decor
because it's at
people.
night. Like it's just
Oh yeah.
The decor
everything
people
is
is
so
just-
coming
that.
together.
Talk about them. They're the decor
decor
people that we've
company,
been
Karen.
seeing every time.
Karen, she's also preferred vendor at Casablanca. That's how we met her, because we're a preferred vendor
Yeah, we
there.
just loved it. And it's like,
And they're just genuine, warm people that want to make people happy.
yeah.
And they're like, we called her and
She
yep,
just did
no
it.
problem, we're there. We're there, and it's just amazing to see the support that we have that maybe you don't normally see because you're so busy working. But then when it comes to a project like this, everybody it's been amazing. And we can't wait to see how it keeps growing.
It's a lot of work though.
Oh, I bet.
Well,
Yeah.
We have always joked that the best way to take over the wedding industry would be just buy a wedding hall and just do everything. And we always joke about it,
but you
it
never know
seems
what
so-
the next corner is going
Oh,
to
yeah.
bring you.
Oh yeah.
St. Catharines is the place to do it. Real estate's cheap there still. You can't do that in Oakville. You can't do that in Burlington. You can't
No.
do that in Mississauga.
No.
It's totally doable. It's just finding that we almost were in a position where we could have done that.
Yep.
But the deal was too complicated.
It just didn't feel right,
No.
but it also didn't feel right. Like you need to, in whatever business you're in, you need to listen to your gut, because your gut's
Yeah.
never going to turn you wrong. Don't make snap decisions, because, you know, feel it out, think about it. Sometimes the snap decision is a good decision, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. But never turn away from your gut, because that's the core that tells you yay or nay.
I still like that car I saw today.
Oh,
Still
jeez.
thinking about it.
Well, good.
You gotta get my
Continue to
feet
think about it.
tattooed first.
1963.
The tattoos
What was
I
that
think,
car
are gonna
again?
be cheaper than.
A Biscayne.
Biscayne.
1963
We
Biscayne.
probably saw it on Lake Street. It's that red car. I looked at it today. Really
Yeah.
nice.
Doug has lots of different things he likes to do. But I think we're done tonight now, aren't we?
Well, I mean, there's no better way to end an episode than to say don't make snap decisions, but listen to your gut. Like that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you very much for coming. This
Yes,
was fun.
thank
This
you.
was a
It's
lot
been
of fun.
Yeah, no, I
Awesome.
enjoyed it.
It's awesome. Next time we should play poker while we're doing it.
Well, this is the first time that we've had like a round table discussion. We could do
Perfect.
This is a very similar
shot roulette.
See, Doug and
very
I,
similar show in Holland. They have it's a program called Ted's Tent, and basically they bring all the Dutch stars there, and they talk about all sorts of shit, and then they cook together, and they feel they pet animals together, and then they talk about important things.
yeah.
It's really
If we incorporated pinning animals into the show, it'd be a very different show.
Well,
Yeah,
Doug and
I'll give it that.
Well, Doug and I stumbled upon each other down here in St. Catharines after dating a while. We realized we'd been in the same circles for a number of years together.
yeah.
up in Burlington, Oakville.
I used to MC all the welcome wagon shows,
And I was there running the trade shows with the bridal stores I was working in.
Yeah, so
And
It's a small world.
it is. And then, his love of wine is what brought us together.
It's a good love.
He was one of my regulars.
yeah.
And then
Yay.
here we are, yes. And then he let me loose at a wedding show, which I really
That's a
hate
saga.
doing, which is ironic now that we own one.
We booked 15 weddings that come
He's
to
like,
that show.
he says
what
to
the
me,
hell did you say to
he's
these
like,
people?
what did you do before we started seeing each other? Well, I have a background in bridal. What? Because he just let me go up there as somebody to just fill a void up in Mississauga.
I get this call from this groom, and it's like, we talked to this Krista. I'm like, oh, Krista? Yeah, we want to book your services. So
$3,000 package, the biggest package he had
Hopefully
ever
charge
booked.
commission.
No. no. Krista does the emails. She takes care of everything. The cleaning,
here we
the
go
laundry,
again.
the cooking,
Sorry, Doug.
the emails, the clients. We allow him to be creative with his camera and his editing, and then we do all of the stuff together when it comes to the shows and stuff like that. Like we generally have invested our whole lives together and into this industry, and we've hit our niche and we've hit it off so well that everybody else feels the same way, and it's kind of cool to see it coming back.
Okay, I was wrong. That's the appropriate time to end it. So we'll sign off. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you for
And
listening.
hopefully next time.
Yeah, that's a
Cut.
wrap.
That's a wrap.